Hello, everybody. Good morning, or afternoon, or whatever time it is, whenever you're listening to this. You may have noticed some slight differences this morning. Firstly, the scenery in the background. That is because I have moved to my new studio. So this is permanent. I no longer have to have a sheet behind me, which is a fabulous thing. So now and there is a wall of music. Everyone that has been on has sent me a little thingy, and that has populated this wall. And anybody else that comes on, if they want to send me a little thingy, whatever it may be, that will end up on that wonderful wall. Over here, we have a picture of. Do you know where this is, Lady Larke?
No, I don't know where that is.
Okay,
No, I
this
don't.
is in Lyme Regis, which is just down the road from me.
I've been there.
And this is the
Beautiful.
entrance to the fabulous theatre, in a rather abstract form. And this is a mural on the wall. And there we go. Let's hope you enjoyed that. For everyone that was listening to that rather than watching it, sorry you kind of didn't really get any of that, but
You're missing out. It's beautiful.
You're missing out.
Yeah.
I will be speaking to Lady Larke or Fiona in a minute. First of all, let's watch this video or listen to it if you're driving in your car.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Welcome to the new studio. You're the first person in.
Graham,
Lady
thank
Larke.
you. I'm very excited. I feel very honoured to see it.
Well, there you go. I've even got and now I'm not really one of those Lego nerdy type people that just talk about Lego, even though they're an adult, right? Type people. But I
Right,
have, yeah, you know who I mean.
I know
But
exactly what you mean.
I have got my little Lego mascot, which the kids built for me. There we go.
That's
And he's
wonderful.
in the
Oh,
studio. He's a shark head.
nice. Yeah, I can see.
Strange. There you
I
go.
love it.
That's all I can
I've got a
say.
mascot.
There we go. Now, a second first, Lady Larke. We're doing lots of firsts today, which is that we now have finally, because I've got my arse in gear, the My Music podcast playlist.
Wonderful. Well done.
On Spotify, yeah, I know it took a long time as well. Had I started it when I first started, it would have been a lot easier.
Sure.
The last 2 or 3 days, I've had to spend going back over 300 artists and adding tracks to a playlist, which is now standing around 16 hours long. So for anyone that, So for anybody that actually would like to listen to along to any of the music from the show, you can now do that. And now, I'm now going to get into the routine. I'm now going to add Lady Larke.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Animal will be added as we speak. Here we are, adding to playlist. And there it is. And just so that people know, this is what the playlist looks like, just in case you're wondering what the playlist looks like. There you are. It's got a picture of my head there.
Your beautiful face, yeah.
In what looks like an old iPod.
No, love
Check
it.
it out, folks. We're getting lots of likes on that. If everybody could share that would be marvelous, because then all of those independent musicians that are on that will all get elevated a little bit. So how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's been a bit of a roller coaster for me. So my debut single came out on the 30th of August, and my EP comes out on October 12th, and then next week on the Tuesday, I've got my album launch night. So it's busy, is what I'm saying. I'm busy. Yeah, busy. I've rammed it all in, but it's going well. Yeah, it's going well. New experiences for me. I've done this all independently. So I've learned lots on the way, as I'm sure, as you know, many of your guests have. And I found my producer about a year and a half ago. We started working together. I had some songs I brought with me. We wrote some songs, and then I sort of had to learn along the way how to market myself and do the PR and learn what PRS was and all of these myriad of things that I never thought were even things I had to do, I'd ever have to learn. So it's been a roller coaster, and really, I just want a big fat drink. If I'm honest, all the time. That's my main.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's your tipple?
Oh God, it's got to be a red wine. I love it.
Red wine.
Yeah, red wine. I like a Merlot. I like a Malbec. Yeah, I can.
Chilean Merlot, maybe.
Chilean, absolutely. Yeah. But really, if I'm being honest, sometimes even a cheeky bottle of jam shed from down the local off license is fine by me as well.
Let's face it, that's actually quite a decent wine, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's lovely, really nice and sweet.
There you go.
That's me right now.
Now, the song "Animal."
Yeah,
that's great. I mean, it's so catchy. It's unbelievable. It just gets caught in your head.
Yes.
The last time a song called "Animal" got caught in my head was Def Leppard.
Well, yes.
Do you remember that? A while ago.
I don't remember it, but I do know it.
No, you don't remember it because you were too young to remember that.
Exactly.
But what for you? What was the rationale behind calling something "Animal"? Because it's great. It's a great title, isn't it? Animal.
Thank you. Yeah. So it all started as a song. Actually, it says in the introduction. Really, it all started with one of my friends' boyfriends saying that I was a bit too much and I wasn't very ladylike. And it's not the first time that I've been told that I'm too much or that I'm not, not ladylike or not proper. And, I come from my mum's family, a very old school, very English and very conservative with a small c. Everyone's very proper. And no one ever talks about their feelings or nothing ever gets sold. Everyone's just sort of really oppressed. And I'm not like that at all. And I'm an artistic and big character. And when I heard that my friend's boyfriend had said that about me, I wrote that down and I thought, I'm going to remember this feeling because this happened to me before in my life and I'm sick of it. And I talked to some of my friends about it and they'd had different, like sort of similar experiences. People saying, well, you're too this and you're too that. And I thought, I'm not having this anymore. I decided I'm going to kick back about this. I'm going to write a song about it.
Yep.
And producer and I wrote the song and it's, as you say, really catchy. And we were talking about in the studio how we could formulate the chorus and what we would sort of sum it up as. And I started wolf whistling. And so in the song, there's wolf whistling. And we talked about wolf whistling and cat calls. And exactly. Yeah, exactly. My producer and I both did that at the same time on repeat to get the right one. And we talked about it. And, it's all synonymous with being an animal. So your cat call, just sort of, you're identified as this, you're in a cage as this, and this is the box you're meant to be in. And that's the sort of, we thought, well, we'll use the word animal to sum it all up. And that's sort of what we did. We got to that eventually, but that was our process really of things are in cages and things are where they're meant to be in the zoo and they stay there. And that's what we were trying to emulate in our meaning.
So it's kind of a double meaning because you're a bit, people see you as a bit of an animal, but you're a repressed animal.
Absolutely right.
Or society wants to repress you.
Yes, exactly.
What is it in society that makes people like that? I mean, and do you think that is something that has become worse since social media?
I think, do you know what? It's an interesting question. That it's obviously hard to judge how rigid everyone was before, but I definitely do think that there's a lot of tribalization online. Especially, I was at a podcast the other week listening to it, and it was with Caitlin Moran and Jamila Jamil, and they were talking about this same thing where, over 100 years, women's movement has gone forward. We're in a completely different place to where we were 100 years ago, but there's not like a sort of unifying sort of discussion about what men need in life. And so then when you do have people that talk about this openly, it's people like Andrew Tate. And so people will gravitate towards that sort of person. Now, whether you like him or not, that's up to you. But the thing is that it's creating a narrative of us and them. And really, we need to talk about what we all need as people, which is support and love. And we shouldn't feel repressed and things like that. And so, in a way, this song isn't just speaking to women, really. It's speaking to people who feel they have to act a certain way or have to be guided a certain way to maintain a sense of masculinity or femininity or for their for their friends need to see them being a man or need to see them being really girly and and so for me it's all about breaking out of any sort of society's rubbish. I was going to swear there, but I won't. Any sort of society's rubbish, and just you are yourself. You're born. Express yourself as you are. Who cares what everyone else thinks? And also, I do find it incredible why people care so much about other people's.
Why? Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe it's a feeling of being threatened. Like, I don't feel able to express myself, so why should you? Something like that. I honestly don't know, but it's very pervasive, and I agree. I think with the internet as well, you can always guarantee that there will be some aggressive responses to anything. And it is very tribalized. Maybe it hasn't been tribalized before, or it has always been, but now we're able to see it so clearly every day that it's sort of becoming normalized.
I just think people struggle with difference, and I think they struggle with conversation around difference these days. I had a bit of it over the weekend. I commented on somebody's post that was talking about relationships, marital relationships, etc., and they were talking about digital detoxing in order to help the relationship and the marriage, and I said, well, when it comes to detoxing, I don't ever digital detox completely. I do find, right, I personally, partly because of what I do, and I do what I do because I actually really enjoy it as well, I will have periods where I'll step back. So if I'm on holiday, I will cut down what I'm doing in terms of social media. I'll perhaps only look in, and I'll do my post in the morning that I always do, and I've always done for 4 years. I've always done this one post, and I'll probably comment less on other stuff, and I'll take more time out from social media, but I will not completely digital detox. And someone waded in on me oh yeah, but then as a creative, you can only really be creative if you have these periods where you're like, and I'm like, actually no, and I said I'm going to equate this to music, right? Because a lot of musicians that I know, and I get as well that there are musicians out there that do need time away from music in order to generate music, but there's a lot of musicians who, if you said to them, you've got to step away every now and again, you've got to completely step away from music, they'd be like, well, it's not something I can just step away from, because this stuff comes to me anyway. I am going to create because I really enjoy it and it's part of me and whatever. There might be other aspects of the business that I need to step away from, but this bit about picking up a guitar on a daily basis and writing something or whatever, that I'm not going to step away from, because that is just part of me and I really, really enjoy it. And I said, well, for me, as a creative in that space, that's part and parcel for me. I absolutely enjoy it. It's relaxing for me. It's enjoyable for me. I wake up with these ideas. If I don't do something with those ideas, then it's gonna eat into me. So I want to get those ideas out. There are bits of what I do where I go, that is actually work, and I don't need to actually be doing that when I'm on holiday. But the creative bits, I want to just do those bits. But people struggle with that. And so there was this comeback, and I went back to this guy and I said, well, but this is what it's like for some people. And the problem is we need to stop saying to other people, this is how your life should be.
Exactly.
Because it's their life, right? And if they feel comfortable in that domain doing that thing, great. Don't push on somebody else. I had the same thing when I gave up alcohol. I obviously know my red wines because I used to drink a lot of it. But when I gave up alcohol, some friends of mine started saying to my wife, "You're miserable now."
No.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I've not changed one iota. It's just, and as you say, where does it come from? Is it kind of like your own insecurities, your own whatever, but it's weird. So I think it's a great song.
Thank you.
I think it's a great song. I think it's got a lot to say, about modern society. And I think a lot of us feel it. I do think a lot of us feel that kind of repression.
Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Because, yeah, I mean, you're totally right. People project all sorts of things onto other people, I think, because I think they can imagine that if Graham, I don't feel good being sober, so Graham wouldn't feel good if he's totally sober. Things like that, why should you not be able to step, why can't you play a bit of your music every day? Why can't you do some writing every day? Why do you have to do X, Y, and Z a certain way? And I think I don't know why it's so insipid and endemic, but people do feel so able to tell others how to live their lives. And people is one example that I find it really is really sort of loud and obvious is with Sam Smith. Now, obviously, Sam Smith has changed the way they're perceived in terms of clothes and in terms of the music that they produce. And everyone, if you were to go on TikTok, for example, it's such a sort of issue that people have with Sam Smith, and they're just a person like everyone else who makes music. If you look back at like the 70s rock stars, they're wearing mad clothes as well. It's not like it's a sort of new phenomenon, but for that sort of
Bowie did it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and Bowie, exactly. So
Right.
it's
if Bowie wanted to wear a dress, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't Sam Smith do it if he wants to? It's just if they want to, sorry. But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. And I just think it's down to, and I actually find it strange in a way that this is all happening in a period of time when actually we celebrate difference of people more than ever before.
Yeah.
And yet, so I think there's this kind of weird dichotomy going on at the moment. On the one hand, it's really cool to say, yeah, I accept everybody. I don't have problems with race, gender, this, that, the other, whatever. However, that doesn't necessarily come across in some of the comments and the language.
No, it doesn't.
You might use the right language all the time. You might be politically correct in your language, but what you're actually saying to people isn't necessarily right. When you start attacking someone and saying, well, you can't think like that, you can't live your life like that,
exactly,
then that's quite detrimental.
It is. It is. And just last week I was in Soho and I was handing out QR code stickers with the link to my song on it. And I was really nervous about doing this because obviously going up to people you don't know, I didn't know how it would go down. And do you know what? In person, I met loads of different people. I talked to loads of different people and they were lovely. It was an incredible day. And I felt really affirmed about human beings. But you take away the face of the person and it's online. Everyone's dehumanized. You can be your worst self and not see someone's reaction and feel empowered behind your screen, doing what you want and saying what you want. And, that's never, the twain shall never meet. You're never going to see them again in real life unless someone sort of found you, pursued you and said, you said something really horrible about me the other day on social media. And I've never forgotten it. This sense of consequence never happens. So in person, I'm having an amazing time talking to people. Online, of course, I'm going to get some nasty abuse. And, unfortunately, you just have to learn to ignore it and think, would I ever write that? No. What's wrong with these people? Fine, whatever. But it's about the dehumanization, definitely. We can access everyone on Earth, essentially, but not physically. And I think that's where a big problem lies. It's a sense of sort of, they're just a person behind a screen. I can say what I like. I get to judge as I like, and it's a real shame. I wish we honestly would like to see what it'd be like to go back to a day without social media, maybe for like a week, just to see what happens.
Okay, so here's my little take on it very quickly. And by the way, people, you need to get yourselves on LinkedIn. Even I know it's a business platform, but get yourself on LinkedIn. I'm getting lots of musicians going over to LinkedIn because it's a great platform for discussion and debate and all of those sort of things as well. And I do my poll every morning. And the reason I do the conversation around my poll every morning is because I studied communication and I think it's down to a breakdown in communication that's happening or has happened because of the online world that we now live in. Because actually, people struggle to actually have those kind of face-to-face conversations. So we're finding we're communicating too much of the time online, and what happens with that is we make too many assumptions, right? And one of the biggest assumptions is that everybody receives information and assimilates that information in the same way, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do. And it's really interesting because you say to people, you start questioning people about it and go, oh, but why do you think that? Or why have you answered that way? Well, because and you can then hear the assumptions and you go, but you're assuming.
Yeah. 100%.
Start asking people, what did you actually mean by that? You know, don't be scared to ask people. This is turning into a political conversation further. Anybody that wants to turn away and forget this now, well, no, don't. Just stay here for a minute. The rest of the album, are you tackling some bigger issues on the rest of the album?
I am. Do you know what? I'm actually really glad we're talking about this, Graham, because all of my album, none of it tackles love. I don't talk about love at all. Because it's been done before.
Yeah, I was going to say, but does it in a way?
I suppose it does. Self-love. Yeah. And acceptance. Not so when I say love, I meant sort of romantic love. For someone else. There's no sort of sense
on the wings of love.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that. It doesn't cover that, right?
No Adele, no Taylor Swift vibes on that one. All the many pinings over guys, none of that. No. So the rest of one of my favorite songs coming out on my EP, there's 4 songs. One of them is Animal, which is obviously already out. The other 3 are coming out on October 12th, as I said. It's called Timelines, and it's about carving your own timeline, and it's a really fun one actually. And it starts, the first line is, my friend got pregnant on purpose, and it talks about how people are actually moving into new lives and doing things that they sort of think they need to do by now. I'm 29, and a lot of my friends have got married, and so I talk about that in the song, and I talk about how I quit my job to write some songs, but a big glass of cold Provence will always get me through. So I also like Provence as well. So that's one of my songs. It's really fun. It's got quite an Elton John vibe. It's big pianos and it's big organs, and it's really fun. So that's one of them.
Sort of like Elton John, what sort of I'm Still Standing kind of era?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Yeah, I'm Still Standing. Exactly what I would say. That's really good shout. Yeah, absolutely. And it's sort of got a gospel choir in it as well, which we created with my mom. It's really good fun. In fact, there's a lot of gospel choir sounds within the album. And then I've got another song called oh my god, I almost forgot the name of my own song there, called Lay It Down. And this one is about how only you can actually make yourself happy and find yourself. And it talks about, the relationship I have with, for example, social media. And it's all about laying down my phone and laying down the feeling of shame and laying down the feeling of inadequacy and comparison. And, it doesn't matter how many millions of followers another musician's got and how their debut single got 3 million streams and mine didn't, all of these things that I battle with. It's about, only you can make you happy. Only you are on your path. So it's sort of like the flip side to Timelines of, yes, I'm doing my own thing, but I do also suffer with this sense of inadequacy or this sense of shame. I want to lay down my shame. And it's also, it's a bit slower. It's a bit more Aretha Franklin. It's a bit soul. It also has the wonderful gospel choir that we created in the background as well. And so it's really sort of, it's a rumination, and there's an sense of empowerment in it as well. I would say both of them have an sense of empowerment. So that's those 2 songs. And my final song it's called Bionic Heart, and it's about grief, and it's about sort of becoming a robot within yourself to cope with things. And it's sort of like an exploration into that. It's a bit, if you reference it, it'd be a sort of reference towards like Lady Gaga's Poker Face and maybe Sia Titanium. It's that sort of, it's a bit more of a dance track. We wanted to try that out. And it's sort of sad banger, if you will. But so we've got some light and shade within the songs, but they're all about self-discovery and moving forward only in your way and dealing with your issues first, basically, because that's where I am in my life. When I was 19, my dad died, and he died very suddenly, and it sort of took a long time for grief to I suppose it didn't really form because I was so shocked for so long. And it's all about exploring how you need to confront the grief and let yourself grieve and then move forward with life. And I hadn't really done that. And so that's what Bionic Heart was about. It's about like leaning into the grief and learning about it and then moving forward. And so, yeah, it's a very personal album, but I think it also speaks to a lot of people. It's, you know, I share my experiences and people say, oh my God, I feel like that as well. So I think for me, it's a moment of connection between myself and other people. I just want people to feel like they're not alone. You know, other people like myself feel like this too. So here's a song about it, and let's hope we can connect on that front.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like you're in a better place now that you're putting your efforts into your music?
Definitely. Oh my God, definitely. So I've always been a singer. I was classically trained, actually. I started singing at 7, did loads of musical theatre and loads of classical stuff. But I always wanted to be a music artist, but I never sort of had the courage to do it. And then 2 years ago, I'm a journalist and I was working as an editor, and I just phoned up my boss one day and said, I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a singer. And he was sort of like, sorry. And I quit. And I was like, bye. So I left there.
Here's a story for you. I quit.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't believe it. And I said, in 2 years' time, I'm going to have an album out, believe me. And I have. And I now work part-time in journalism still. But I feel I feel so much more fulfilled, Graham. I couldn't believe it. I really thought I was stuck on the sort of, you know, the treadmill of life. And I never thought I'd actually lean into my creativity or become the artist I wanted to be. And incredibly, you know, once I got started and once I was writing songs for the first time, I found it really easy in a way that I didn't think I would. And I thought, right, I'm finally on the right journey. I'm living within the sort of, I suppose the word fate. I don't know if fate's a thing. I don't know. I'm a bit undecided on fate, but it felt like I was fulfilling my fate or fulfilling my purpose, and it became really easy to me. And we created some great songs, and I was loving it. And I thought, my God, this is another style of work that I've never done before, and I absolutely love. And so it felt like I was finally listening to myself. Is what it is, and I'm in a much better place now. Definitely, yeah.
As someone that started life as a journalist many moons ago, and then went off into a different kind of adventure, coming sort of back round into writing and almost journalism and making content which is, you know, to my mind, journalistic in its nature as well. Now, I definitely have a view that I'm kind of pushing against the tide in terms of journalism. Having done the music, you know, got yourself into the music thing and actually doing really what you want to do as well. Has it changed your opinion on what good journalism is, or maybe has it helped reaffirm what good journalism is and which way journalism should be going? Because to me, good journalism isn't something we see a lot these days.
No, I agree.
Because what we see a lot of is spin on a particular rationale as to this is what we believe, and you're meant to believe it as well. Good journalism to me was always trying to bring both sides of the story together and through good writing allow people to make their own minds up, you know, be quite diplomatic in it, in a way, get the facts, show people the facts, let people make their own mind up. But we don't really see that.
No, we don't. And you know, I'm lucky because I work for Reuters, which is extremely we have to be unbiased, and everything is completely triple checked, and we have tons of clients that depend on us being unbiased. So in that sense, I've experienced good journalism like that, and I've experienced worse journalism. And, you know, I've been in newsrooms before where someone walks in and says, right, what can we say about Meghan Markle today? And there'll be some sort of like, you know, vague comment on AP News about like, oh, she was here. And they're sort of like, oh, and like 2 people underneath it had made a comment about it. And, you know, then someone would write, all of Twitter's in a storm over Meghan Markle's outfit, you know. So
yeah, she wore blue. Blue has like a significance here. Let's twist this.
Yeah, exactly. And the vaguest thing becomes a story, and just bolsters people's hate for people. And obviously hate sells a lot of newspapers and gets a lot of people looking at articles. And I think there was something like a statistic of, was it something like 3,000 articles written about Harry and Meghan? I'd have to double check that before the coronation, even though they weren't going, about why they weren't going, or were they going, or was Meghan going? 3,000 articles about two people that aren't really involved in this news piece at all. So I agree. I think journalism's terrifying. And my partner, he works at Reuters, but he's a fact checker. And so the stuff he has to fact check every day is insane. Everything from sort of like King Charles signed a decree that Trump is still president, and absolutely right. But like, people are believing it, and Twitter is a sort of cesspit for this. It's incredible how, especially now that it's been taken over, and there's sort of like it's become a very jaded place, and the amount of misinformation, and people will just post things as fact, and people just believe them. So obviously it's the journalism. My God, it's journalism, but it's also people who are leaning into that as well and doing the same thing, and it's incredibly bad. And I mean, having been in journalism full time, I knew that it was. I was never, thankfully, I was never involved in anything like that. I personally never ever would have written something about Meghan Markle just for the sake of it, because I don't care about my job enough, and I care more about my values than to do that. But people get pigeonholed into these environments where they have to do things like that. And stepping away from journalism, I can look back and say, absolutely, yes, I agree that especially the British media is terrible. I mean, I don't know about other countries as much, but certainly I see it happening in our country. And my mum used to be a Times reader. She read the Times all the time, and then she started picking up the Daily Mail for my grandpa, who's 102, by the way. And she would pick that, he's gone a while, and she would pick that up for him. And instead of buying two papers, she would buy just the Daily Mail and read that instead. And over 3 years, I saw her comments about people change, and I had to really pull her up on it and say, this has only happened since you started reading the Mail. So I literally saw a case study in action with my mum. Thankfully, we've gotten past that now, but I had to have, we had to have a real conversation about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's a startling fact that will transcend the brains of most people that are listening to this. But a long time ago, when I was trained as a journalist, and my main tutor, he used to be an editor at the Express, and when the Express was a massive newspaper, and he was telling us what's the average reading age, do you think, of certain, let's not say all of them, but certain national newspapers? What do you think the average reading age is?
Oh, it's got to be high, isn't it? It's got to be like 50 or something. I don't know. What is it? I don't know. 50, but 40?
No, so like age in terms of how it's written for someone of a certain age.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant people who read it, right? Oh gosh, I don't know. It's got 15.
7. So wow. There we go. Certain newspapers that are out there, folks, that you might partake in have got a reading age of 7. That means they are written so that a 7-year-old can understand them, whereas others are slightly higher. So it kind of gives you an indication, doesn't it, of levels, as it were. But I think you're right, and I think we need to think more about what we actually read and what information that we do see in front of us. I've got a good piece of advice for all of you out there, because it's not actually necessarily the platform's fault, any of those social media platforms, even the one that has been mentioned this morning. If you don't like what people in your stream are saying, block them or get rid of them, turn them off, say, I don't want to see content like that. And soon, actually, what you'll find is that your stream will be people that you do like. It's very simple, really. We can actually filter, but a lot of us choose not to. So just start filtering a bit more. Thank you so much for coming, talking music and politics and putting the world to right this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we've done a lot this morning, haven't we?
We absolutely have. We absolutely have. If you haven't heard any of Lady Larke's music as of yet, you're missing an absolute pop loveliness. Do check it out. Especially at the moment, stream Animal, put it on your
Yes,
playlist. Remember, it's on the My Music playlist as well. So please do add that playlist to your favorites. And that helps all of the 280 artists that are on there.
Wonderful.
Amazing. Go us. Go, go team. Go team. Because that's the only way that we help. Because that's the thing is, as one of the things you were saying there earlier was that, you can look at other people's social media, especially other artists, and think, oh, I'm not cutting it. I'm not doing it. Some people have got millions of money that they're spending on their social media. So it's a little bit of an unfair battle. But anything we can do to bring independent artists up really helps.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Graham.
Do stream Lady Larke. Enjoy Animal. Very much so. This has been My Music with me, Graham Cove. I hope you've enjoyed the new background. I'll be back later in the day. I've got 2 more music interviews for you today as well. I know, he's just going for it. I'm going for a world record, the most music interviews ever on Spotify.
Love that.
Yes, if we get to that, then I can start approaching journalists like you to then talk about it and write about it, and then it will just snowball from there. So
perfect.
And your partner can actually fact check it for me as well. make sure it's valid. There we go. If you've enjoyed this, please do share it with your friends, family, and everybody else out there. And we hope to see you again soon. Until next time, bye for now. Keep listening to some music. Bye-bye.
Bye.